What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Brian Lovett, aka B-Love. Today we're going to open this very large box next to me. It contains the new Sonos Arc soundbar with full Dolby Atmos support. Let's get into it. Yes, you heard that right. Sonos has finally listened to customers and added Atmos support to their soundbar. Now, the first thing we're going to do is, of course, tear into this thing. Let's get it open. And here we have the box inside of the box. If you can see that, there's a lock symbol on the ends of the box at the top and the bottom. And there's actually this little piece of plastic covering some sort of plastic lock. I've actually never seen this on a box before, so it's a nice little easy pull tab. There's some sort of like cardboard stopper that presumably stops this from sliding. There's a lock and unlock. I just slid it to unlock. It's a pretty satisfying click. And I can see that side of the box is loose. So let's do the same over here. Device. And that is a satisfying click. You can see the inside of the box is nice and insulated. Whoa. I feel like there should be some sort of music when you pull this out. So this is felt wrapped. There's this nice little Arc sticker on the front. And so we'll just tear that guy off. And I've got to say, the packaging does not disappoint. All right, first impressions. It's pretty slim and sleek. It doesn't seem like it's any bigger, really, dimensionally than the older soundbar. The one thing I'll notice right up front is that it's obviously much more rounded. HDMI, power, and network. And I think we should talk about the connections and the reason Dolby Atmos is finally supported by the Sonos speakers. So if you think about the older soundbar, the older Sonos soundbar, which we've got right over here, they used an optical connector. They actually didn't have HDMI. It was just fiber optic line into the speaker. And you can't actually do Dolby Atmos across an optical cable. It requires that you have HDMI. And so that precluded support for Dolby Atmos on those older soundbars. Also, this soundbar has 11 speakers in it. So there are drivers on the ends, which you can see it has kind of a mesh end cap here. So there are drivers on the ends. There are upward facing drivers, downward facing drivers, forward at all different angles. And this, just like the other Sonos systems, when you pair it with other speakers, or if you just have this set up on its own, you use the app to use something called TrueSound. And what TrueSound does is it looks at the area that you're sitting in. So if you're sitting at a particular room on a couch in the room, it measures the reflectiveness of all the walls and the surroundings in the room, and it tries to make sure that the sound is the most immersive at the point that you're normally listening at. And that's one of the things I really love about Sonos. It's really the way speakers always should have been. Now we should probably talk for a second about Dolby Atmos and what it actually means. So if you're familiar with 5.1 surround sound and 7.1 surround sound, essentially those are just talking about the number of speakers in the system. With 5.1, you typically had a center channel speaker, you had a left and a right front speaker, and then you had two rears that took up the 5, and then the 0.1 was the subwoofer that you typically had placed somewhere in the room. Dolby Atmos takes it a couple steps beyond that. This actually has upward firing drivers, so you get this kind of really immersive 3D sound. It also treats sounds as 3D objects within the spatial sound field, and so you really get this three-dimensional immersion. So a lot of the magic that sits inside of this thing is really with the software and with the post-processing of the audio sound, and that's pretty amazing. Another notable feature of this speaker is that it has, just like the other newer Sonos speakers, it has Amazon Alexa built in, so this does have voice control. The other thing you can do with this, which is really neat, is you can pair this with other Sonos speakers. So I've got a pair of Play 1s in the back, and so we'll augment this soundbar with those Play 1s. I've also already got a Sonos subwoofer. Now to get started, step one, of course, is to take off the existing Sonos speaker. Now, while we're here, we might as well do a side-by-side comparison of the two. The first thing you'll notice that's quite striking is how much larger the new Arc soundbar is than the older Sonos soundbar. It seems like the profile is pretty similar. I would say it's almost identical, in fact. Now, how about weight? Well, the new one does feel slightly heavier, but it's not significant weight difference. Let's start by getting this old mount off the wall. So the new soundbar mount has these two arrows so you can tell which direction is up. It does come with some mounting hardware. Unlike the original Sonos, which had the wall mount kind of built into the back, this one does too, but slightly differently. So you have these two kind of aftermarket pegs. I can see why they went with this. It does give it a cleaner aesthetic. All right, so we've got the soundbar bracket mounted. I'm pretty happy with that. Now we're gonna take out the cables and get those routed. And whoever ran the electrical back there did a really good job. Just kidding, guys, I did it. I'll throw up a video of how I hid these cables throughout my system in another video. But for now, let's get this hooked up. So now that we have the hard part done, hopefully the hard part of mounting this on the wall, which obviously is pretty painless in fact, and if you don't have to mount it to a wall, it's even easier. But once it's hooked up, you'll see the white light turns green and starts flashing. Now this is when you fire up your phone and you load the new Sonos app. Now the Sonos app is your control center for the entire Sonos ecosystem of speakers, whether you have Play 1s, Play 5s, Arc, Soundbars, whatever it is, that's where you configure everything. And we'll click on Add Product. We found a new product, Arc Black. Set up this product. Press the button on your Arc. Now, the other button that's behind here, that's right in the middle, it's really easy to find because it's sort of indented, is this kind of infinity symbol. And so we'll click that. You heard the tone. Right, so we added the sub and we also added the two Play 1 surrounds. Now the cool thing is we press continue, it's going to go ahead and update all of the software on all the speakers. You see, in order for these all to work together, it has to download new firmware and software for the actual speakers themselves. Now the cool thing is, as with all over-the-air updates for cars or for whatever technology you're using, this can unlock new features over time, new capabilities. In this case, I have a TCL TV. It has 3 HDMI ports on the back. One of them is labeled Arc. Now, that's the one that you need to find, and that's going to run through and actually connect the speaker to the Arc port on the TV. We have audio. It's a good sign. So the next thing we're going to do, now that we have the soundbar set up, we've got sound coming out of it, we're going to set up Trueplay. Now, Trueplay is the speaker tuning that I talked about earlier. Next, and we look kind of crazy doing this, but we're just going to sweep the room with the sound. Once you have Trueplay set up, you'll notice better sound right off the bat, but also as you listen more, it kind of continues to tune the sound using the built-in software, which is pretty cool. Now, there are a few other things you can do. You can go in, you can mess with the EQ, you can mess with individual levels for your sub, your rear surround sound speakers. You can also do a dialogue sync. So if there's a slight delay between the dialogue that you're visually seeing and the sound coming through your ears, you can set a delay there. It's pretty comprehensive what you can do just using the app. Now, there are a few things to take note of with this. Not all content that you're going to stream online is going to support Dolby Atmos. In fact, most content does not. Now, Netflix does stream Dolby Atmos on a limited selection of titles, but you're going to also need an Ultra HD 4K plan for Netflix, which does cost a couple dollars more than their standard plan. But if you do have that, you will notice that there's the Dolby Vision and also the Dolby Atmos symbol on some of the 4K content that they have. There are other streaming services that also support Dolby Atmos. You need to check with each one to see what content is available. Let's see if we can find an Atmos show. So after spending probably a good hour trying to find some Atmos content on Netflix, I came to a realization after doing a bunch of research, and as is often the case with technology, things aren't quite as simple as they seem. So Netflix on Roku specifically, with the TCL 6 series TV that I have, does not support Atmos, even though the TCL TV does support Dolby pass-through on the Arc connector, which does in fact support Atmos. But it's a software limitation on the side of Netflix. They just haven't allowed that app to be certified for Dolby Atmos, unfortunately. So I just wasted a good hour of my life trying to figure that out. On the same TV, on Roku, Amazon Prime does support Dolby Atmos. So get with it, Netflix. So in the meantime, I did watch a couple of episodes of Grand Tour. Hearing a big V10 or V12 Lamborghini barreling down a track in Dolby Atmos is a pretty cool experience. So it does sound fantastic. It's well balanced. The sound is pretty amazing. I've also set up the voice control, so I can say, Alexa, turn off the theater. And as you see, it just turned off the lights. Alexa, turn on the theater. And the lights are on. And so is the TV. That's all pretty cool. I think that this is a big step up from the original soundbar. Obviously, you get better, more immersive sound, especially if your equipment supports it. Now, that's to say, go through and do some research on your TV. Make sure you have an ARC connector. Make sure your TV supports pass-through Dolby Atmos. And check and see if the Netflix app on your particular TV or your version of Roku also is certified for Dolby Atmos. All a barrel of frustrations, but that's the things we have to go to at this point. Overall, if you have a Sonos system or you're looking to set up a Sonos system, I don't think you can go wrong with the Arc. It's everything that was amazing about Sonos to begin with. The sound quality is really good. The technology is really there. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Otherwise, hit subscribe and the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future reviews. Thank you so much, guys. See ya.